everyone, thank you for watching. And today's video is going to be a new Chatty Get Ready With Me, getting this fall look right here. I have a couple new products that I'm using today from Tarte London, also new products that I hauled recently from Tarte and Too Faced. I have a new lip gloss that I'm trying, a new concealer from Benefit also. And today's topic is one that was a little bit challenging for me. I'm going to apologize in advance if the beginning is especially kind of choppy with my editing because it's a topic that I've wanted to talk about for a while, but it makes me a little bit uncomfortable. I'm actually sharing some stories from both the beauty industry and also the book industry that I was in myself that kind of came down to like a morals versus money situation where I had the decision to do something that was, you know, kind of ethically wrong, morally wrong, or even illegal. It would have been, you know, probably profitable for me to do these situations, but I didn't feel right about it. And it was kind of uncomfortable for me to talk about these situations. I don't usually kind of delve into this. I thought that it would just be interesting to maybe hear some of the things that I've been through and how I've kind of worked towards doing the right thing. And I also wanted to touch on like cancel culture, and the whole thing that stemmed this video idea was the recent incidents with Sunday Riley and faking their reviews and all of that. It's really what kind of got me thinking as I've been asked to give my opinion on that. So it kind of spurred this whole video idea in general. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. It was really tough for me to film some of these different chats on these topics, but I hope that you enjoy it. I hope that you take something away from it, and I hope that you'll stay to the end to get kind of my overall message and all of that, and of course seeing how I got to this look right here. But we definitely have a lot to cover today, so why don't we go ahead and get started. Hello? Okay, jumping into it. So I kind of have a variety between like new and older products, but I thought I would show how I have found I like to apply my Kevyn Aucoin Foundation Balm because I tried this out for the first time on camera and I didn't like overly love it, but I've been playing with it some more, getting my review ready to go, and so I thought I would show you how I actually like to apply it. So I'm gonna go ahead and jump into that. I did also want to know, would you guys want to see a ranking new foundations video? I've done a couple of them in the past. Okay, I got cut off by the mail guy, but as I was saying, I could rank Kevyn Aucoin, Charlotte Tilbury, Pat McGrath, Juvia's Place. I think there's even another new foundation that I was trying out, so if you want to see the ranking, do let me know. But I definitely want to get my review up for the Kevyn Aucoin Foundation Balm, but it took me a little bit to figure out how I like to use it. The first time I used it, I used the brush that comes with it. It comes with like a small foundation brush, and I just didn't like it at all. It was just like too much product for me. Even the next time that I used the brush, I felt like it was just way too much. So I actually like using a damp sponge. This is my one from Ofra, and I just pick up a little bit of product in here because a little bit goes a very long way, and then I start to apply it to my skin. And I feel like when I do it that way, I actually really do like the foundation. I did put my primer on while I was getting the mail. I used the Catrice Prime and Fine Fresh It Up primer. And I think applying it with the damp sponge also helps it make a little bit, like it helps it look less foundation-y. I don't know, maybe if you will, like less heavy. I tend to prefer more of like a medium coverage. I'm definitely having a lot of skin issues these days. I don't know if it's stress. I don't really know what it is, to be honest, but I'm having a lot of breakouts. So this one is a little bit more on the, I'd say medium to full coverage foundation. So hopefully it'll help cover up a little bit that we got going on here today. So for today's topic, this is gonna be an interesting video. I'm gonna be real curious to get some feedback and thoughts on this one, but I've been getting asked a lot of questions about what I think about the whole Sunday Riley situation. If you guys aren't familiar, it was actually several months ago. It came out, like an email was leaked from a past Sunday Riley employee. Sunday Riley is a very expensive skincare brand that can be found at Sephora, and it came out that they had employees writing reviews for their products. and you know, obviously making sure to write really great reviews, but also it was just a whole thing of basically faking good reviews online. And the FTC did an investigation and concluded that it was true. You know, it was something that really was happening within the company, and so that, like, the kind of like the findings in the report came out recently, and so I've been getting asked a lot of questions. I've been getting some DMs about it. Even my mom messaged me about it and was like, what do you think about the Sunday Riley situation? And this kind of topic for a video has been in my mind for a while, but I didn't really know like when to talk about it or when to throw it in or what to do about it. And as I've been getting so many comments this week, I was like, you know what, like maybe now is a good time to do it. And I'm just gonna share a few stories about like times that I have been approached to do something that I didn't agree with morally, or even was, you know, illegal by like FTC standards and all of that. Because unfortunately, and like it bums me out to say this, but I wasn't super shocked when I even first saw the news, because of some certain situations that I've like been in myself. And I thought it would be interesting to give an example in the makeup industry and also the book industry, because I feel like beauty especially gets like, it gets such a hit online. Like it takes such a hit online of like everyone's like terrible, not for money, and lying and doing all these crazy things. And one thing that I've always said is like, there's bad eggs in every industry. There's bad eggs in every friendship group. There's bad eggs in every family. There's bad eggs all over the world. There's people that continue to make bad choices. There's people that simply just make a mistake and need to learn from it. But that's, I mean, it's always gonna happen, right? So I thought I would share a few different stories about that. But here's what my skin is looking like after using the Kevyn Aucoin Foundation Balm. And I really like this a lot more than using that brush and just having like, it was just so heavy looking. So I will say that with the Sunday Riley case, I don't think I was necessarily surprised to hear about the whole review situation. What kind of surprised me the most, actually, I think, was after the FTC did their investigating, they found that it was a thing. I really feel like Sunday Riley didn't get a lot of, like, it almost felt kind of like a slap on the wrist of like their punishment, I guess, because I have seen like bloggers and social media influencers like lose their entire accounts for you know, not disclosing ads or, you know, things like that. There was a big case, oh, it was several years ago, but the FTC was sending out warning letters to a bunch of bloggers saying you have to disclose your ads, or if you're working with companies or things like that. And, you know, people were like truly getting their accounts taken away from them and all these different things. I've seen it happen with Amazon, with people kind of either buying reviews online. I actually almost lost my entire Amazon account to be able to review products because Amazon wrote me an email and said that they didn't think I was impartial to writing book reviews because of my book blogger status. I've seen the FTC really crack down on certain things. So when I was reading the article about like what all happened, and basically it was just like, don't do that again. Like, Sunday Riley promised that they won't do that again. I was like, okay. And it kind of got me wondering, if this would have happened to a smaller company, would they have been in more hot water? Would they have had like serious repercussions that could have really hurt the business? I feel like we kind of see it a lot just in the social media world. Like, there's still so many, I follow a lot of athletes because I love sports. There's so many athletes that don't disclose their sponsorships, that they're clearly sponsorships, but nothing happens to them. But if, you know, if someone on a smaller scale does, they are in jeopardy of losing their account. Like, it just, sometimes it just makes me think that life can be so unfair in that sort of sense. I didn't grow up wealthy or anything like that. I've kind of like struggled with money a lot, and sometimes when I see people, and I don't, like, I want to say this in the nicest way possible, but sometimes it seems like easier for people who have money, because I've seen it in real life of people just paying away their problems. Like, I have seen that happen. I've been involved in situations where I've been able to see someone be able to pay their way out of things that someone who didn't have the money be able to gets the short end of the stick, and it just makes me so angry. It just makes me so frustrated. So I use this new concealer here from Benefit. This is the Boying Cakeless concealer, so it's the one that like looks like a pencil. Benefit sent a few over to me. I'm gonna use number 3. I just got these, and we will see. Ooh, that's pretty light, so I'm just gonna do a little bit here on my eyes. And then they also sent over this really cute sponge. I got it wet, and it didn't get like real large or anything. It's kind of obviously like a different shape, so I wasn't sure if I would love it with my foundation. I wanted to save it and use it just with the concealer. Yeah, it's kind of hard to use the sponge. Ooh, I don't think I'm gonna like that concealer. Let me see if I can get you close. Like it just, let me switch. Let me use my Ofra Sponge just to see if I would like that a little bit more. It just doesn't seem to be blending in very well. It's kind of just like sitting on my skin. It almost looks like a little bit scaly too. It felt drier when I was applying it, so I was like, oh, I'm not sure how this is gonna go. Like this eye kind of fared a little bit better than this one, but it's not the cutest concealer that I've ever used, unfortunately. Oh no, I almost bought this one too. I was really curious about it, and when I got the package from Benefit, I was like, oh gosh, like I can use that today. That's gonna be so awesome. I don't think my under eyes look the best, unfortunately. When I'm not loving how concealer looks, I use my Hourglass Veil Powder because I feel like it makes me feel a little bit better. So I'm just gonna use some of this before I move on to the face products. Oh, I'm so bummed about that. I'll definitely try it a few more times just to be sure and whatnot. But definitely, I don't know if they sell that sponge separately, but I wouldn't really recommend that sponge because that didn't do a whole lot. It's cute. It's cute, but I don't know. Maybe is this even like a sponge? I just assumed it was to blend out concealer. Maybe it was just decor. Maybe it's edible. Maybe it's a dog toy. I don't know. If you guys watch my channel, like you probably can tell that I'm like nervous to share some of these stories because I'm like dragging my feet getting into it. But they're just kind of like uncomfortable situations. But I don't know, just like with what I like to doing with my mindset and makeup series, and what I like with telling my stories is that I just think that it's interesting to hear different things that you might not realize that goes on behind the scenes, because, you know, there were certain things that I didn't realize before I got into beauty, such as buying and returning products. Like, I didn't know people did that. I didn't know that was a thing. One story I wanted to share on the beauty side of things was, this was a few years ago. I was still like a pretty small channel. Like, I still consider myself a small channel, but I was like a pretty small channel, and I got an email from a brand, and they wanted to work with me on a sponsored post, and they were going to send me products, and they were going to pay me. And you know, I'm reading through the email, and it was a really like good amount of money, especially considering my size at the time. So I was like getting really excited for it. It's gonna be able to use these new products and work with this brand, and I was so very excited about it. I'm gonna use my trio from Tarte that I picked up in my latest Ulta haul. This is in their 9 Ways to Shine. I'm just gonna use all 3 of these actually. So I'm reading through this email, and I'm getting very excited, and this is gonna be great. And then I come to a point where it says, but we really want to make sure that this feels like an organic post, so you are not to disclose that you were sent this, that you are being paid for this. You cannot use #ad, #sponsored, and you need to explicitly state that you purchased this yourself, so it seems more relatable to your followers that, you know, you bought this on your own and you really love it. And I remember reading that and being like, what? That's actually illegal what you're asking me to do. And I can remember like reading this email over, looking at the money I'd receive, looking at it's, you know, it's an opportunity to make a connection with a brand and maybe we can work together, you know, down the road and all of that. Talked to my husband about it. But in the end, I wrote back and was like, you know, I really can't accept this. I would have to, by law, I have to state if something, you know, is a sponsored post. And I even wrote back in my email and said, you know, basically of like, I'm trying to be truthful to my audience. I wouldn't want to mislead my followers into thinking something like that. And I wrote in and I was like, if that's okay, if we can do it that way, like I'm happy to do this, but I just can't do it the way that you're stating. And they never wrote back to me, never got back to me. And it was a few months later that I started to see posts popping up on my Instagram of other bloggers saying, oh my gosh, I just bought this and I love this. And I remember seeing the first one because it was someone who I knew well that I enjoyed. And I remember seeing it and I was like, maybe it's not what I think it is. Maybe she really did just buy this and she just really enjoyed it and she wanted to tell people about it. Like, that's great. Because her post said, you know, I bought this, you know, there wasn't any sort of sponsored, gifted, anything like that. And I was like, it's fine, it's fine. Like, she probably did. It's all good. And then I kept seeing more people posting about this same thing and no one mentioning that it was gifted. And I just thought, oh no, like people really did it. And that was, I think, probably like the second biggest instance of kind of having a veil lifted for me when it came to being a part of like the beauty community. The first one was like the whole buying and returning things, which weirded me out. But then seeing this and to seeing some people that I very highly respected in this industry, that I looked after, that I looked up to, that I sought out advice from them, to see that, it was kind of heartbreaking. I mean, just to be honest. And one thing that I wanted to point out though is that you never know how people are negotiating the contracts behind the scenes. So maybe that didn't happen with every single person, you know. And of course, I'm not trying to say that we're all terrible people. I'm not, and I'm not mentioning names, I'm not mentioning brands, like I'm not trying to do anyone like that. But it also, I had another situation happen, you know, a time after that, and it wasn't anything like the first one, but basically it was like, oh, if you do this, we'll give you that. But some of the terms didn't sit right with me, and I was like, well, I can do A and B, but we need to switch C and D. This doesn't feel right to me. And the brand went back and was like, yeah, definitely, like totally fine. I was like, oh, okay. So that was a big reminder to me of, you don't know how other people are negotiating their contracts behind the scenes. Just because I saw something as myself as a blogger might not mean the next person has the exact same contract as me. So that's always something that I try to keep in the back of my head too. But it was just really wild to get an email flat out asking me to break the law, to mislead my subscribers, my followers. It was just so uncomfortable reading that and thinking that, and then to see other people posting, it was a reminder to me to not just take one person, you know, like what one person is saying and really go with it, to watch a lot of reviews, to, you know, get to know people and all of that. And I don't know, it was an eye-opening experience for me, I guess, that I will say. And you know, it is what it is. That's story number one that I wanted to share. You guys can probably tell I'm super uncomfortable like spilling the tea. I thought I'd sit down in this video and be like, listen here, this is what I gotta say, this is what's going on. And instead I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so uncomfortable right now talking about this. I wish I would have done a different video topic. But here we are. I'm gonna keep going because I have some time left on my camera before it needs to switch over. So instead of doing my brows, I'm gonna jump right into my eyes. I'm using the Hot Buttered Rum palette that I also recently got in my Ulta haul, and I haven't used it yet, so I wanted to try it out. So that was one thing. But then, like I said, I don't like, there's bad in every industry. There just is. So I didn't want this to just be like, oh, I'm just kind of like, you know, crapping on and just the makeup industry and talking down about it and all of that, because I've also had actually a lot of situations in the book industry that I could talk about for sure. Several years ago, I was working with a client. So I've been in the book industry for a very long time. I'm an author. I used to be a publisher. I've worked for publishing companies. I've worked in marketing. I do freelance editing, proofreading, and all of that. So at one time I was working with an author on their marketing for their book, and I was working with them also via their publishing company. I remember getting a phone call from the publishing company, and they said, we wanted to talk to you about the marketing for the book. I'm like, yeah, what's up? And they said that they had a contact who, if you paid a certain price, could basically guarantee that you would be on the New York Times bestsellers list. And they kind of walked me through everything and how it would work and how much money was involved in doing that. And if you paid this much, you would sell this many books. If you paid this much, you would sell this many books, and it would, you know, it would all correlate to like your spot on the New York Times bestseller list. But basically you could secure a spot on that highly coveted list if you paid enough money. As an author, that was devastating for me to hear that. I will not forget that phone call. I just thought, what? This is a thing? I was just so shocked, because as someone who's wanted to write a book since I was a little girl, as someone who's been writing books been publishing books since 2011. I mean, one of my goals is to get on the New York Times bestseller list. Wouldn't that be amazing? That's a huge goal. That's like a top of the line goal when it comes to books. And to learn that there's a way to get around the system and just pay for it was devastating to me. Honestly, it still makes me upset. This honestly makes me even more upset than the first story I was telling you guys about. It makes me so upset. And I can remember, you know, the publishing company kind of laying it out to me like, if we, you know, sell this many books, you know, I worked off of commission. He's saying to me, if we can sell this many books, like, here's an idea of what your cut would be. I mean, it would have been life-changing. I wouldn't have been able to pay yet to have my books be a bestseller, but I would be like well on my way if I maybe like invested it wisely, right? And I mean, this was several years ago. I was still pretty young. I didn't have a ton of money. I had pretty much just left my job at the hospital. So I was working, you know, I was like fully self-employed, fully freelance at this point. And so to hear that sum, I was like, And it really came down to a money versus morals. And this is something that I have struggled with so often. I think because I didn't grow up with a lot of money. When I get certain situations presented to me and there's a lot of money, it makes me think twice, because I know what it feels like to not have money. If you guys watched my latest clothing haul with Express, I was able to get a winter coat and I cried because I didn't have a winter coat for years living in Iowa where it's freezing. I couldn't afford a coat. So that is the level of like how much money I haven't had in my life. So when I hear something like that and something that could hugely affect my life, it makes me think twice. Should I take this opportunity? And I talked to Mitch about it. I actually even talked to some family about it, because truly, I mean, it was going to be a crazy amount of money that I could make, but also not even just money. I would be able to have that, you know, essentially on my resume. I was doing the marketing for a book that hit the New York Times bestseller list. That would be huge. That would be huge to say. But it wouldn't be true. And so in the end, I said no, and I eventually got let go from working with that person. I'm not saying that every author who has achieved bestseller status has simply paid for it. I don't believe that from everything in me, I don't believe that to be the case. There's amazing writers out there, there's amazing stories, there's great marketing teams, there's great editing teams, great publishing houses, all of that. There's so much greatness out there. But there are probably a select few who, how do you even find this? I don't even know. I didn't ask questions, I didn't ask names, I didn't ask anything. I didn't even want to know that kind of stuff. But it's just such a fan of books and that world and that industry. That hurt to learn. It really did. It really hurt to learn. And, you know, like I said, I'm not trying to make it seem like I heard it and was like, nope, not doing that. Like, I had to think about it. I really, truly did. I had to think about it, which is kind of embarrassing to say, but I am also trying to be honest. And in the end, turning it down, I know was the best choice. I know it was the best decision to make, but I don't know. That was another story that I thought I would share. And again, kind of a reason why when it's like, oh, a company is writing reviews for themselves, I kind of don't even blink anymore, because it's like, well, there's people doing crappy things in every industry, unfortunately. And I think I used to be someone who was a little bit more naive to it, and I prefer to see the best in everybody. I prefer to see the best in situations. I don't know, that's just how I am. But over time and over going through some of these experiences, and those are just two that I'm sharing with you today, I have a whole book out there. It's called The Green Ticket. That's my money versus moral story. That is a true story of something that happened to me in college, and I struggled with making a decision there, because once again, the name The Green Ticket comes from, you know, like the golden ticket of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. The green ticket, money. I had a crazy opportunity to also change my life, but it was not good. It was not a good situation to be in, and it took me a little bit to walk away, but I ended up walking away, and I'm glad that I did. Another look with the Curly Bible palette, but like a really fun look with lashes and like lots of craziness. But my right eye has been hurting me today, like my actual eyelid. It's very like dry, and I keep scratching it. I don't know if you noticed, my eye was kind of red when I first started, so I figured that wouldn't be a good choice. So just wanted to do something kind of basic with the eyes, which I'm bummed about, because I don't normally do like more intricate eye looks on camera. But I was like psyched up, I was ready for it, and I was like, my eye hurts so bad. The thought of like doing all of that to my eye just kind of made me want to cry. So this is just what we are doing today. But I wanted to use this palette. I bought it a while ago and haven't used it yet. They're just two of my stories that I thought I would share in this video, and you know, just certain moral dilemmas that I have been in over time. And I definitely want to say that I have not always made great decisions, right? Like, I'm not trying to like make this video to say like I've never made a bad decision, I've never, you know, blah blah blah. No, like, I've made bad decisions, trust me. And also at the same time, I do think it's a good thing for people to make mistakes, and for people to make the wrong decisions, to learn from them. Because, you know, I think having learning experiences is a really big thing. And I feel like now in the world it's preached like you can't ever make a mistake, because especially with the internet, that's always going to be held against you and everything. But I feel like people have to make mistakes in order to learn from them. I had to make mistakes in my past and make wrong decisions in my past to understand how it made me feel inside. So that way when I was presented in the future with another opportunity, I would know, oh, you know what, the last time I did something like that, I did not like the way that it made me feel about myself. I didn't like how it felt. I'm hitting my chest here, but I didn't like how it made me feel in here. I had to learn that in order to make better decisions. So it just really bums me out with the whole cancel culture and with everything that we have going on these days, that it's like kids can't make mistakes. And I just don't think that's a great, like, what are they learning from that? I don't know, because that's how I've learned a lot of my lessons in life, is making mistakes and learning from it, starting over, trying again. So so I definitely wanted to point that out, because I'm not trying to sit here and preach and say that I'm like the best person in the world, because heck no. In my 32 years I have made a lot of mistakes. Are there bad people in the world? Of course there's just really bad people. There's people that don't want to learn from their mistakes and they'll keep making the same mistakes. And that's a whole other thing. But, you know, especially for, I just think of like our younger generation. I mean, I've said it before and I know it makes me sound super old, but there are so many times where I'm glad that social media did not come into my life until I was 19 years old, okay? Okay, I went ahead and did my brows off camera. I just used the Benefit Precisely my brow. Mascara, I'm gonna use the Ciate London Wanderlust mascara. The box looks like this. So I'm gonna go ahead and try this out. It says an intensely volumizing mascara in the shade Black Magic. So let me go ahead and try that. But another thing with books, I got an email at one point from Amazon saying that they were going to be deleting a whole bunch of reviews for my books because they deemed these reviews, you know, impartial or whatnot. And in the email, it said that I cannot have fans review my books. And I was like, what does that even mean? And I mean, this was a while ago. I mean, I've always had social media and all of that since I started my blog, and, you know, I've been able to get readers and supporters that way. But I was like, what does that mean that fans can't review my book? Because isn't that kind of like what we're trying to achieve as authors or and whatnot, like getting a fan base, a reader, you know, base that gets excited for our books? Like, how are you deciding what reviews can and cannot go? Again, Amazon reviews are so important for authors. If you guys have read any of my books, I would love so much if you would review them on Amazon because they are really important. So there was a period of time where Amazon was really trying to take a lot of these away, and it seemed to be really targeting indie authors or independent authors, self-published authors, just authors that didn't go with like your traditional publishing houses. We seem to be in danger of like losing our reviews and just all these other things with Amazon. It was really quite crazy. And I can remember writing in and being like how are you doing this? Why is someone who's a fan leaving a review considered bad or impartial or whatever? Because, you know, I don't think this was happening to Emily Giffin and Sophie Kinsella and J.K. Rowling, because they are people with a really big fan base, and obviously their fans are the ones leaving their reviews, buying the books from them, and leaving their feedback and such. So I'm like, this just doesn't seem fair. It made me so angry. I'm glad that that issue seemed to get resolved, but I just remember there being a point in time where I was like, I don't even know if I can be an author anymore because Amazon is such a monopoly. Like, you really, there's so much I could even say there, but really to sell your book and to be successful, you do need to be on Amazon. And it all of a sudden seemed like Amazon was making it harder and harder for indie authors to succeed. And I mean, there's honestly even more that I could tell you about that. Kind of going back to the New York Times bestseller list, like there's a lot of really uncomfortable and shady things that I've learned along the way, and being in the industry and the different jobs that I've held, that is really unfortunate. But there was truly a time in my career that I thought I wasn't going to be able to write books anymore because I didn't know how else to be able to get my books to readers if I didn't have Amazon, and they were making it such a struggle for me at the time. So I feel like that's calmed down a bit now over the years, which is fantastic. I'm very glad about that. But I just remember that being such a scary time. And you know, again, it kind of takes me back to the Sunday Riley versus like an independent brand, because that's what I think of, like traditionally published authors versus an independent author. Like, would I have an easier time with some of these situations if I was with a traditional publisher, with someone who had more money, more reputation, more backing, maybe more connections within the different retailers? I don't know, probably. Probably. I really like that mascara. Like, that is a very volumizing and also lengthening mascara, and it's very black, and I like the wand a lot. It feels like a little bit of a drier formula, which I like myself, so I'm really curious about that mascara. Again, that was from Ciate London. So I'm just gonna go ahead and add some of this highlight here from Tarte. I don't want this video, like, I'm kind of afraid to put it out because I don't want it to seem like too down or too negative, because, you know, even though there's bad situations out there, there is also so many good people and people that do make the right decisions and all of that. So I don't want it to come across as like everyone's gonna make terrible decisions and there's bad things at like every single corner. For my lip combo, I'm gonna use my Charlotte Tilbury Iconic Nude, and then I'm gonna use this one from Alamar Cosmetics. This is the I'm not even gonna say the name correctly and everyone's gonna laugh at me, but this is the Undressed Lip Gloss, I believe it is, from Alamar Cosmetics. I had a subscriber give this actually to me when we did the meetup in New York City in Bryant Park, so thank you to Gloria. So I'm gonna use this today for the first time. I'm so excited about it. I feel like this lip color goes with this look. Very fall vibes, because the gloss is just like a little bit on almost like the orangey brown side. So I thought with this lip liner it would pair well, and with this eye look. It's just a little bit sticky right now. Not the stickiest gloss I've ever tried, but just a little bit. But I'll see how it wears down and how I feel about it all throughout the day. But I'm so excited to try that out because I was interested in these glosses. I thought the swatches of them looked very pretty. So thank you so much to Gloria, and for everyone who came to the meetup that I did in New York City. I will link my vlog down below if you would like to check that out. But after that, that is it for today's makeup look and just sharing a few of my stories along the way. One of my biggest loves is storytelling. It's why I enjoy being an author. It's why I enjoy having a YouTube channel. I have a newly launched podcast. If you guys want to check that out, I have a podcast called Start Inspired. It's on iTunes and Spotify and all of that. I always have my links in my description box. A new episode goes up every Thursday morning. And I'm just a firm believer of like, I go through certain situations or make mistakes and learn from them so I can share them with other people, so I can talk about it more. So that's what I wanted this video to be about. I feel like I was like actually spilling tea in this video, which I don't do. And as much as I try to be a positive person and look at the positive side of things, I also do understand that there are people out there willing to take the shortcuts and kind of pay the way to the top and all of these different things. But to me, I just kind of wondered like where is the pride in that? And I know because of situations that I've been in the past where I have made the wrong choice and I have let, you know, either money guide my decisions, or I just made decisions that went against my morals. I know that it didn't make me feel good. It didn't make me feel prideful. So when I was able to get to these stories that I told you today with, you know, taking a sponsorship but, you know, misleading people to saying that I bought something, to being a part of, you know, paying for a book to be on the New York Times bestseller list, I knew that I wouldn't feel pride in those situations and I turned them down. Would my life probably be very different if I had taken the shortcuts in some situations? Yes, probably. But I know that I'm really happy where I am. And yes, I struggle, and yes, I have hard days. Yes, there's times where I think, oh, you know, if I just would have been born into the royal family, this would all be different. But I just believe that there's, you know, a greater cause for me with going through certain situations, and it's so I can tell my stories. So maybe if you're watching this and 3 months down the line you get a proposition and you can't decide and it's a money versus morals thing, maybe you can reflect back on this video and you can think about the different things that I said and how it would really make you feel to accept it. And, you know, maybe you would be able to turn down something that sounded really, really cool, or would give you a really cool opportunity, but you knew it wasn't the right thing to do. And maybe why am I getting upset? And maybe I could, you know, have an impact on someone that way. That would really mean a lot to me. So that's why I wanted to share these stories today. If you've made it to the end, I don't know how much I'm gonna cut out of the beginning of all my like bumbling and fumbling to try to get to these stories, but that's really what I was trying to communicate in this video. And again, to not be so hard on people when we do make mistakes, because we do have to learn from our mistakes. We just simply have to, and it's going to happen. So that's it for today's video. This is my final look here. I hope that you enjoyed seeing how I like applying the Kevyn Aucoin Foundation Balm. Unfortunately, that Benefit Concealer I think is going to be a fail for me. I'll try it a few more times and see what I think. I have used the Tarte powders a few times and I have been liking them. That came in that blush set, which is good. The Too Faced palette I thought was really easy to work with. I just wanted to do something simple since I'm having an issue with my eye, but I feel like it was really simple to use that. The Ciate mascara I actually think is really really very good, and the lip gloss I like so far, and we'll see how I enjoy it down the way. But anything that I use for the first time, I of course will come back and review in a future video. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I hope that you took something away from it. If you guys are, are willing to share any stories of, certain situations that you've gone through that you had to make a decision like that, if you'd want to leave them, I think it'd be really interesting to hear some of them in the comments. And yeah, let's just continue to be kind to one another and all of that great stuff. Thank you guys so much for watching. This actually was so much more difficult than I thought it would be to film, but I really hope that you enjoyed it and you took something away from this video. If you did, I hope that you will give it a thumbs up. That would mean so much to me. I hope that you'll also consider subscribing before you go, and I will see you in my next video.